everybody. So we made our way out of the warp, but the demons stole our dice. God damn those demons. But anyway, welcome to the Shaston's Cancelled podcast. It's me, your child. No,
your
I'm
child?
not your child. I am your boy.
The child.
Yeah?
I don't.
You tiny baby man, Isaiah.
Okay.
Listen.
Interesting.
I was gonna say, I think I meant to say your boy Isaiah and my child Sam, but oh my god!
Listen,
All right.
I don't know about you, but you're definitely not my father.
No,
Just Isaiah in the fucking Mandalorian armor with Sam.
Oh my
the little
God. This is the way.
Yeah, Matt, no, I was also on the Mandalorian brain cell.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! All right, well,
Wait,
I'm
who-
here
who,
with
who me and Josh then. Like,
with
is
the
Josh
boys.
Boba or is he like?
I don't want to be.
Matt.
I'll be
please,
the
I'm
silly
trying to do an intro.
I will be
too
the
late.
silly mom mechanic.
No, fuck you.
The mom mechanic?
I don't know her name.
I'll be the fish
Oh
dude.
my lord!
That blue
the
fish guy.
mithril.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Okay, I'm here with Josh.
Huh? What?
Yeah, you're here, bitch. I'm here
yeah,
with
yeah.
Matt.
I too am here again.
I'm here with Sam.
Hey, so I have a question.
What's goody?
How the hell did the demons steal our dice when we have them under lock and key all the time?
You know what? We're gonna say that word bearers did it. They went through the warp portal. They saw the dice behind the locked door in the Geller field, and they were like, "Oh, well, we did it once. We'll just do it again."
I was gonna. I was gonna say they used Squig, but you know.
They may have, in fact, used the Daka Squig. Look, it's not hard to get orcs to do what you want.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just tell them there's something good to fight over there, and they're like, all right, yeah, okay, all right, let's fight some shit.
Yep.
I'm just like fighting.
Time to
being
commit
fighting
incredible
voids.
violence.
Incredible violence. All right, boys. So today, the topic at hand is a topic near and dear to my heart because I feel like I'm always talking about this specific topic and how much I wish it would come up, but it doesn't. And that topic is world building.
And
We're
why
gonna be
40K
discussing-
does it badly.
No,
But
this isn't a 40K podcast. What?
I don't know. We inch closer every day.
Just because the intro bit has us in the fucking orb.
Horus was correct in trying to overthrow the Empire. Change my mind.
You know, it doesn't help that a few of us are going to be stuck in the warp in the next few weeks.
This is, I mean, listen. I'll be fine. I'll be around.
Anyway,
In
world
the
building.
warp. Anyway, world building.
Yeah, tell me. How does nutrient paste affect your nutritional diet? And,
Thank you for bringing that up, because that is a part of my world building, actually.
It is. It is, in fact.
So we are all
details.
the Dungan Masters,
Dungan.
the masters of ceremony, if you will. And my question to you is, I know that we all do various degrees of world building, and this is partially brought on because Matt is starting a new, he started a new campaign that's not homebrew, but he's kit bashing a lot of Forgotten Realms stuff together. And the rest of us are running straight up homebrew games. And it seems like every week we're coming to each other and we're like, hey, do you want to hear some lore? And it's always that thing where it's like,
lore.
I didn't until you brought it up. Let me hear it. And we always just, it's every time we bring something up, it makes me chuckle because it's shit that like, you go, yeah, no, that's never going to come up, but it's pretty neat.
Unfortunately, the lore that might come up for my game, I can't mention because, you know, 2 of you are my players.
Yeah, plot relevant, yeah.
That's fine. 2 of you plus 1 are my players.
2 of you plus 1. Yeah, who's the plus 1 in this scenario?
The Matt.
Okay.
Hi.
There are literally 3 of you here. 2 plus 1 is 3.
So
Correct.
I've got a small some snippets to go through, or not snippets, some questions to ask you guys. But I think we should start off pretty basic with what is world building to anybody who doesn't know. World building is, simply put, the shit that you use to fill your world up to make it feel more real, right? So the different countries, the different races, the geopolitical structure, the weather patterns, a calendar, NPCs, monsters, stuff like that. Basically, any lore in any series is world building, and it is, it is necessary. I was going to say it can be necessary. No, it is necessary to make a setting feel more believable.
I would argue it's debatable. It's necessity.
Really,
if you put your one place, like if you really like minimize the area that your players are ever going to touch, it's not super necessary.
That is one way to do it, but I was actually thinking was more so the fact that a lot of people, when they start GMing, don't do any world building, and a lot of the time what they do is just, we're playing D&D in fantasy world. There are fantasy things, and like that's about as much as they think about it. And I know that was what I did for my first 4 games probably. I was just like, world building, I don't know, it's fantasy land. And what ends up happening is you get sort of a, vaguely Tolkienian sort of thing going on, but you don't really world build. You just sort of make a lot of assumptions based on like, sort of shared cultural assumptions,
Sure,
So,
but I would argue that is still world building to a degree, right? Like that.
Well, it's not world building because somebody did it for you, right? Because like Tolkien already did it.
Well, yes, but it's still a part of your world, right? Like, even if you took it from somewhere, it's still part of your world. If you have, we were on the 40K thing. If all your orcs in your world are 40K orcs, like they act the same way, they have the same like political structure, that's still world building. You're just stealing from something and putting it in your world. I would argue that's still world building.
You know what's great? Just when you're running a game, theft. Just a sheer amount of theft you can do. I know
that's literally one of my points. I have big bold all capital letters. Motherfucking steal.
Just steal everything. If you can't think of something, someone else has already thought of something better.
I mean,
than what you would have just thought of. Stealing is technically world building because it's like,
I guess.
Like, I really like the idea of cannibal elves. I stole that. That's stolen. That's from Divinity Original Sin 2. Totally 100% stolen.
Well, so
just because I put that in there, it doesn't mean it's not world building.
No,
it's just thefty
but
world
I think there's a
thrifty, if you will.
I think there's a difference though between there's a difference between I'm taking ideas from stuff I like and we're all just assuming and not really talking about what the setting is. We're all just assuming, I don't know, it's fantasy stuff. That's not quite the same thing. Like coming to the table and just not talking about the setting and just being like, yeah, players, it's fantasy. You know what fantasy is. And then just never speaking of it again. It's like, I guess it's the least amount of effort world building you could possibly do. You could make that argument.
It is 100%. I will not argue with you on that.
It is 100% literally just theft. No thought head empty fantasy.
I mean, it's definitely no thought head empty, but like,
someone has already done the world building for you.
Yeah,
you don't have to really worry about it.
I guess it is a kind of world building, but it is not. When people say world building, that is not what they mean. Like. It's
just
not,
someone else
generally
doing
people
the
think
world
of,
you
you
years
fucking
of fantasy fiction
sitting down at your computer being sweaty and fucking typing out bullshit nobody cares about.
You're pretending to be George R.R. Martin. You're like, yes, I'm gonna write the next Game of Thrones thing before my players and write this massive novel of lore that my players will never ever see.
Yeah. I mean, and then you describe food too much and nobody cares.
Yeah, and then you describe, right? I don't know, but I think a lot of
the single blade of grass in the entire fields.
Right, 3 pages of just grass.
Yes.
But
that's a
lot
of grass.
DMs just like they need enough just to like get the campaign going, and then I'm going later on with Isaiah with your thing.
Yeah, wait, hold on, Matt. That'll be a question for later. Just
okay.
That'll be our second question.
Sit your bitch ass down and shut up.
No. Because he almost brought up. He's about to bring up a really good point, but I want to focus on that a little bit. I'm sorry for cutting you off, Matt.
That's fine.
Fuck you, Matt.
That's fine. I'm just gonna sit here. I'm just gonna stand in the corner.
Yeah, look, you got the round locked and loaded. You just got to pull the trigger when it's ready.
Yeah.
So the first question is do you guys enjoy world building? And if you do or don't, like, why? Like, what is it about it do you dislike?
Something about that question really feels like a loaded, like, girlfriend, does this make me look fat question. I don't know why. It just...
No, I mean, like,
it feels like I'm being put on blast. I don't know why. It just does.
No, I mean, you shouldn't. I mean, if you don't like doing it, you don't like doing it. I'm not gonna be like, well, not a real GM. Like, hell no, fuck that.
No, I didn't even mean it like that way. It's just like something about the statement of like, do you like it? Sounds kind of accusatory.
Oh my god, this guy didn't write a 20-page backstory for his campaign world. What a terrible GM.
Oh my god.
I mean, you joke, Matt. You joke, Matt, but I definitely have probably more than 20 pages at this point.
Yeah, but at least your like campaigns running.
Yes.
You know?
No, yeah, I don't. No, yeah.
You didn't show up day one and be like, all right, players, here's my entire history of lore. Read it.
No. I don't know. Come back around to me. I have to kind of think about that.
All right, Matt, do you enjoy the act of world building?
Yes and no. Like, I like writing. I like telling stories, creating, we all, like, as part of being dungeon masters, we are creators.
Yes.
But the idea of, like, world building and everything, part of me wants to say no, just because it's a lot of work for the DM that it's not going to come up unless the players are engaged in asking questions, which, it's partially on the job of the GM to like make the world interesting and believable enough for players to want to engage and ask questions. But there's also like, unless it's about your players or it's happening around your players, it's not important. So it's like if you go off and write about like a city or whatever nonsense, like, oh, they're gonna, they might get to that place eventually, and then they never go to that city in the campaign ever. What the hell was the point of doing all that writing? It might have been fun for you and just for you as a DM, which sometimes is necessary, but I don't know. Like, that's why I'm kind of like mixed like on it, because I love writing and storytelling and stuff, but like sitting down and being like, all right, fuck, I gotta create a world and all this lore and all this nonsense, which is why I joke the steal everything, hi, Percy Glaxon here, professional like bank robber, but I don't know, I just like, I guess yes and no. Professional bank robber here, I steal everything, and just pulls out a bag full of like different random like PDFs and books of tabletop shit.
I'd be fucked up on that. That's so funny. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, that's my long-winded answer of yes and no.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was. I'm gonna be honest, Matt. That was kind of a non-answer.
No, I mean, like, he likes the idea, but he understands that the execution often will lead to diminishing returns.
Disappointment.
Yeah.
It's I like doing portions of it, but once I get outside of what my players will interact with on an organic level, I just don't. You don't want to continue it.
It's funny. I don't. Even if I come up with some world building shit that like just fucking never, even if I come up with something the players do not even breathe in the direction of, I don't get disappointed for some reason. It doesn't bother me the same. Like if I prep a bunch of shit and then my players go, no, I don't think I will. That bothers me more. But like, yeah, even if I make a shitload of like prep stuff, and then the players or a shitload of world building stuff, and then the players just are like, "LOL, who cares?" I'm like, whatever, that's fine. Like it doesn't,
because you like writing, you like creating. That's part of it. It's like as DMs, like, or not even someone.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. I don't. You're kind of on writing, or just
so okay. I guess I'm answering the question now.
Sorry, Sam.
No, that's fine.
I didn't mean to go next, but here we are. So I think the answer is yes, I like world building, but specifically, I like coming up with mythos. Like, I really like doing there's this big grand story that happened prior to the campaign that put all these things in motion, and like, these characters were involved with this, and then this happened, like a sort of mythos to the whole thing I really like. And I like doing things like random little tidbits like, oh, where would these characters get their coffee beans from and shit like that. But really nitty gritty world building, like governmental stuff or like fucking, building layout or like district layout and shit like that. Bah, fucking basura. I don't give a shit. Straight Trubadish, get out of here.
He said basura.
Shit.
Nah. He called it fucking trubbish.
I did. I said
this man bringing fucking Pokemon.
Straight Trubbish.
We say trubbish all the time.
We do, yeah.
Nah, fam. I don't hear you say that shit.
No, maybe Isaiah says that a lot.
I say Garboder, straight trubbish. Yeah, I say that a lot.
Nah, I hear Garboder, not trubbish.
That's both. Anyway, point being, so I liked the sort of big, grandiose shit. So like, yeah, I guess I mostly like it because I feel like that stuff's also generally the more important shit anyway. And then when it comes to the scenario of like, oh, I came up with a bunch of world building that my players never interacted with, that doesn't bother me because that world building, the thing that the players never touched, I am still utilizing in some fashion as a GM. Like, the fact that, actually, here, we'll just use an actual example from my current game. It hasn't come up a lot. It's come up a little bit, actually. But the fact that, like, philosophy and debate is a big thing in my setting, and, like, people will sit down in coffee houses and just fucking go off on each other about, like, deep existential, like, philosophical things all goddamn day long. Like, that is not really relevant to my players fighting oopie goopy interdimensional space monsters. However, having that information informs me the way certain NPCs will react or behave, or informs me about how people think about things. And so even though my players may never sit down in a coffee shop and have a philosophical debate with fucking, discount Socrates, I still can sort of utilize that information that I jotted down because it can inform other shit. So that's why the whole, like, I wrote information that didn't get utilized thing doesn't really bother me.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
Yeah, that's better.
All right. Also, fuck you, Josh. My answer was a non-answer.
No, it wasn't. You waffled a little bit, but yeah, I guess it wasn't a non-answer.
Waffled, he says.
Waffling.
Man just says he likes it and doesn't like it at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know. That feels a little waffly.
I don't know. I feel like, you just don't listen to what he says. Just like you don't read the messages he sent.
Doesn't read anything I send him. Doesn't watch anything I send him. Doesn't listen to anything I say.
You got me on the reading one.
Jesus Christ. Sir, I was trying to come to your aid. No, he was just like, no, I like it under this bus. It's nice here.
It's a that bus. It's a nice bus. Put that there.
Shit.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right.
It's fine.
Sam?
All right. Listen, I'm going to be rude with you, Chief.
Unreal Engine 5?
The way that I approach world building is... I don't. It just come to me, and then I write it down. And I go,
I don't.
Well, okay. So what I mean by that is I don't approach it. It approaches me. Like it
comes at you, Joe Toro style.
Yeah, the idea will randomly just spark in your mind. You're like, ooh.
It's just like, oh, that's an interesting idea. Thinks about it a little bit more. I like that. I'm gonna write that down. And then I start writing, and I'm like, okay, all right. And then I sit there and I'm like, how would this play out in general? And then my brain, like a fucking AMV, starts playing everything out.
Like an AMV.
Yes.
Like, hell yeah.
I mean, because like usually these things come to me when I'm like either not doing shit at work, because a lot of the time I'm waiting on other people. It's a great life. It's not. It's really not. It gets really fucking boring. or I'm listening to music, and I'm like, well, this music is telling me one thing, and these thoughts are telling me the same thing, and then the AMV happens, and I go, wow, that was a really cool sequence of events that I just had play out in my brain.
And then the it's literally the same. Like, I will also like sit down and write things, but a lot of it is also just like, oh, this would be a really cool idea, and this like, and then I go, oh wait, oh cool, because it fits in the lore here, here, and here. Oh, and that'll interact with X, Y, and Z thing.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
Wait, but Sam, does that mean like it? No.
It likes me, smiley face.
All right, Matt. You know what, Matt? You're in the clear. Now Sam has a non-answer.
Okay, listen, I was going to elaborate.
I know, I'm fucking.
I don't like sitting down to do world building out of the feeling of needing to do world building, because I don't like doing things out of a sense of obligation unless it's like I'm doing it for work or to live.
I don't know why I was really waiting for you to go. I don't like doing things. And just stop there.
I mean,
if only I could just sit down one day and just not move
and just
ever.
exist.
I just want to lie on some grass and just stare up at the sky.
Sleeping would just be. I mean, listen, Matt, that's not a bad way to spend time.
You're onto something,
right? Everybody, go touch grass.
When I was in college, my shorts in college between classes, when I was waiting for people, I would literally just hang out in like the field of my campus, and it was a nice time. Probably could have spent that time interacting with people. I mean, listen, I like naps, all right, and getting sun while napping, even better.
No,
no judgment here.
Basically just a cat. That being said, but I don't really like sitting down and being like, all right, I'm going to do world building today. I like it when it comes to me naturally, because if I sit there and force myself to world build, it's not going to end up being world building. It's going to be me organizing my world building notes, and then maybe extrapolating on a thought that I had and realizing I didn't, put enough information for me to fully build on how the socio-political structure of the fucking vampires is, so that when my Saturday group gets there, they learn that the people that are working there for the vampires, and some of them more willing than others, have unionized. So like, just little things.
I feel like you're maybe being a little overly strict with the definition, because I mean, none of that sounds like not world building to me. Just because you're doing it on the fly doesn't mean it isn't, That's
not what I said. I said I like it when it comes to me naturally, which is when I have the thoughts and then I write them down. I don't like sitting down to do it. I'm saying that the two different methods of doing it, one I like, the other I don't. Because forcing myself to do something never produces results. Probably, some undiagnosed mental thing. Like autism or ADHD or something. But yeah, no, it's not a case of I don't like world building. It's a case of I really like it when the idea just comes to me and I start writing things down and it's natural, and I don't tire myself out and give myself a headache because I sat down and forced myself to do the thing and focus on the thing. So yeah, no, I like it, but there are circumstances which lead me to not like it, because honestly, I am just not good with things like homework. I've always hated it. So what it feels like to me is
can confirm that statement.
I do not like homework at all. I think it's one of the worst things that you could possibly give to a child. It unless it's like specifically a meaningful project that's like, hey, I want you to research this thing, I will assist you. A lot of the time, homework ends up being, here's the checkbox, take it for me.
Is that scene from Incredibles 2? Math is math. You just point at the textbook.
Listen, math is math, okay?
I mean, yeah. Yeah. Sam has a deep hatred of homework so much that he made a very explicit point in his school setting that there's homework.
Yeah. I mean,
I
just
vaguely remember this being a thing.
Oh no! It was very firm. It was a firm statement. Yes. It was Shendul being like, "No, dumb as fuck. Get out of here."
Truly.
I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, then that's interesting."
Yeah, no,
I'm not gonna disagree.
Listen, homework is good for one thing and one thing only: practice. That's it. That's really all it should be. But like, you know, we like to overuse that in America.
Fuck yeah.
You want to continue that one?
No, not at all.
Sing the whole song. Do it. You'll get advantage. I don't know the whole
song.
I don't even know the whole song, brother. Listen. All right. I forgot the fucking Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, same.
And we're canceled. Thanks for coming, everybody. What a great run.
Nobody gives a shit about episodes.
Wait, real shit. I literally just tried to think about it in my head. I don't think I
can't remember it, right?
No. It's one of those things where I think about it like very infrequently, but it's just fucking gone.
It's fucking dead. It's fucking dead, Jim. It's dead.
There are so many things that school like drilled into us. It's this. Love how this came off of homework.
Yeah, this is a weird tangent.
So many things that school drilled into us that's just like, if you think about it, it's gone. Like, it's 100% gone because it was useless. We don't use that knowledge anymore. And a lot of the time, you know, unless your career field is using particular pieces of knowledge, you ain't going to use shit from school.
Let me tell you,
our
though,
school system is terrible.
I got that Pythagorean theorem on lock.
That's
I don't know why, but I got that one on lock.
I'm real glad that you
memorized display of hubris, but okay.
All of this is to say, I hate what feels like menial work that is thrust upon me. I'll do it. Especially if I'm like
fucking happy about it.
Oh, I will procrastinate the shit out of it and then be like, all right, I have to sit down and do it now. On Thursday night, 2 hours before I go to bed, rock it out, get home from work Friday and be like, all right, well, you know, I did this world building that's going to be appropriate for today's session. So like, glad I did it, but also fuck everything I just did.
And then the players are
Fair
like,
enough.
we just want to like hang out and have tea today in session. Like, I fucking refuse.
Don't you worry. I'm going to talk about that.
Oh.
It doesn't bother me when it's not reached because I do have an entire fucking continent that has been industrialized by fucking dwarves.
True.
That I don't think anyone's ever going to see, but I love it very much.
I feel like it's there and I love it.
It's there.
It's my child.
It's my child and no one can take this from me.
This is because Sam has an unorthodox love of trolls, dwarves.
I mean, I would roast him, but like my love of kobolds is just as strong. So
don't worry. Look, we're not gonna swing for low hanging fruit. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some more low hanging fruit with fucking kobolds and lizard men.
Don't you fucking start. Fucking start this shit.
We promised we weren't going to. Look, we're gonna be good. We're gonna be nice.
Start, Isaiah. Do you like world building or not? You son of a bitch.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, I would fucking hope so.
Well, I appreciate this drastic pivot subject.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, yes, I love world building. I do it a lot, but much like Sam, I can't sit myself down to do it. Often it comes in the moment and I just have to remember it until like I get home and I'll like jot it down, or if I'm on my lunch break, I'll just like jot something down in my notebook.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't open up Notepad or anything on your phone.
No, because there's cameras everywhere at my shop, so I can't.
Y'all really gotta learn the hey Siri, take this note for me type shit.
I have a Galaxy, sir.
I know, whatever I forget what the hey Bixby.
I don't even think
Google.
that's a thing anymore.
It's still Bixby and she fucking sucks.
Oh no, yeah. I have a new phone and it's not Bixby. It's just Google.
Oh, well, that works.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. I hate that shit. I actually, all right, listen. This is kind of just me as a programmer. I hate automating things that don't need to be automated on like a a spiritual level, because like, all right, look, my job is to make everything as easy as possible. But now that I've seen the security side of things, and I look at something like Siri or fucking Alexa or anything, my brain goes, no, bad thing. Don't touch that. No, security problem. So like, anytime someone starts talking to Siri for a text message or something, I'm like, that's problematic. It's not 100%. Because phones are a little bit different than a fucking super open piece of equipment. But, you know, I don't like it. I prefer physical notes. Still have, actually. They're in my closet right now. I have like 10 different notebooks that would be placed throughout, at my job, at home. You were joking? That's fine.
I was just making a little suggestion. I wasn't ready for the tirade edit.
No. See, I told you guys I was going to rant today.
He did, in fact, warn us about this.
World building.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be on, Siri, but all right. It's just
no. I mean, listen, I don't like, I hate reading digital books. The only thing I can read digitally is like a comic.
What? We're not talking about
no, I'm just talking about digital. I'm talking about digital versus analog with note taking.
Oh, all right. Well,
there's like I literally.
Yeah, I don't physically write a single fucking note for my game. You're an animal.
I write it and then type it. But like I hate reading PDFs, and I have to do it for my job, and it drives me insane.
I can't write very like fast or well, so like also my hand hurts when I write a lot, and I just
I mean, same, but like I don't write that much until like I have a moment. So it's like, oh, jot that note down, jot it down.
Once I got
later think about it. I organize it all digitally, sure.
Once I got
that just
school,
makes it easier
to
like, find shit.
Nah, we're done with this writing shit.
But yeah, like I keep physical notebooks literally everywhere. I keep them at my job. I keep them like next to my bed. I keep them at my desk. I keep them in my living room. I would keep them in my kitchen if that wasn't dangerous.
I just imagine Sam walking out of like, a Dollar Tree with just like 20 fucking notebooks under.
I mean, listen, buddy. You can get $1 notebook. It looks.
All right, wait. This is an important question though. Like, what kind are they? Like composite notebooks? Are they like yellow legal pads? Are they like?
Oh, but it doesn't matter what they are. If
just
I find
everything
a notebook
and anything,
yeah, pretty much. I had
that's
small
chaotic.
legal pads, large legal pads.
That gives me stress.
It quite literally, there's a reason why I compile my notes because I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to go through 10 different notebooks that I just gathered from around my apartment / house, wherever I'm living at the current time, and go through all of them. But I will put them into a nice Google Doc so I can access it from anywhere and hit Control F and then type in a name or whatever annotation that I put, because it's just, I don't know. I have notes written down in my phone, but they're usually because we're in the middle of a game and I don't have a notebook right next to me, and it would be really rude of me to leave when I'm being Dungeon Master.
Yeah, when you're running the game.
Yeah, that'd be a little awkward.
Like, hold on, guys, I need to go get a notebook. What?
Just mid conversation, you just stop
fucking
and you're like,
days
wait.
off.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I that's when I take notes on my phone, because if I start typing, my brain will just, like, on the computer, my brain will just empty. No conversation will be having. I will be staring at the screen typing. I don't know why phone versus computer isn't the same, but like, hey, listen, it's fine. Yeah, no, I have a very wild note-taking style.
Yeah, shout out to our boy Nick, who used to do all his like thesis papers at school on his Google Doc phone, like on his phone specifically. He was,
Jesus Christ.
Animal.
The formatting would drive me insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And then he just printed out at school and he's like, I'm done. And I'm like, bro, we have computers here. He's like, nah, this is faster. I'm like, what?
It's not. It's literally not.
The formatting would be like,
it's impossible to type faster on your phone than a keyboard. But anyway, this is not a tirade I want to go on right now.
Did I even answer the question? I don't even know.
I have no idea.
You said yes, and then I think it got taken from you.
I mean,
here, Isaiah, hold the wheel, duct tape
Sam
it, firmly
really be
grasp
in
it.
some kind of mood today.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yes, I like world building. Much like Sam, I don't sit down and write things. unless they come to me and I'm like struck with inspiration. What I do often do is I will have the things set up in my head, right? Like a lot of it is just all up there, up. I want to say off the dome because that would assume that I'm coming up with it on the spot, but it's all just mental. And I just
mental notes,
friddle it out as it comes up. And I will often lightly guide my players to a point where it does pop up, because while I'm not disappointed when it doesn't come up, I do want it to. Like the whole artificial food, like, you know, like the it's just artificial food thing not being very nutritious, and the players being like you can eat it, but you can't eat it for very long. Stuff like that, where I'm super into, and I'll come up with it and be like, this is really neat. It'll probably never show up unless I make it. So yeah, that's how I feel.
I just want to be clear about something. I don't like fucking sit down at a fucking typewriter and like crack my knuckles and I'm like, all right, time to tell the story of the universe. I
corncob pipe in hand.
Yeah, no. Like, my general methodology is like, have an idea, write down idea, look at it and go, all right, initial idea jotted, come back to later, and then extrapolate, right? Like, usually it'll be something quick, and then I will sort of extrapolate upon it later down the road, unless I need it like immediately, then I'll, figure something out quicker.
On some real shit, do you know who has a like literal tome of fucking lore for his setting? Cardell. I've seen it. It's like for our campaign, it was like a 40-page document. It was kind of wild.
I believe it.
That man's do be writing down earthen, like it's kind of crazy.
I mean, there's certain that there's certain things I just cannot be bothered to give a fuck about, right? Like, how does money work? Who the fuck cares? Right? Like,
it says in the Dungeon Master Guide there is gold and electrum and silver and copper, and that is it.
Yeah,
that is all we're going to.
That is as much thinking as I'm going to do. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's this sort of. I guess there's two camps, right? Like, every little thing is necessary, and hit the things you need to hit, and sort of extrapolate where necessary. I'm not gonna be like, the fact that you went that hard on everything, you're a ding dong, but I couldn't imagine. I don't know. I don't know. I have no real statement on that, but yeah, I just
yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, I think so. There's like, kind of like you were saying, there's two camps. I think you need a little bit of both, maybe, like when you're doing the world building, where it's like, all right, let me just get enough to start running my game, and then eventually the campaign and the setting and the lore and all that shit will come later as I'm thinking about it, and an idea will randomly come to me, and all that. And then that's where, like, then the writer comes out, and you're like, oh, and then you extrapolate, and you like hyper focus on like this one area and highly detail it for no reason, and then you're like, wow, look at all this is great. And then my players are like, yes, but I like this, and they go to like the dung heap I like put 2 sentences on. I'm like, no.
The dung heap.
I like that boulder. That's a nice boulder. What's the backstory of the boulder, Matt?
It was placed there 30,000
placed there by
ago
a Sararek.
He thought it would be a cool prank.
Yeah. I will say, important thing to note, if you're gonna write a 40-page document, do not walk up to your players and slap that shit on the desk and say, read it by session 1. Like, no,
yeah, don't
be that guy. Don't do that.
No, that's ridiculous.
You're a fucking animal.
To be clear, Cardell did not do that to us. I just like peeked over his shoulder at some point.
Yeah, that is not.
Players can skim it.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if they really want, if they really want. But like introducing a setting, you just gotta do it through what's going on,
Yeah, like when I started up the Strixhaven game, I literally told my players, like, hey, the first 3 chapters of the book are all you need to know. If you want to read through it, you can. If you want to skim it, that's fine, but just look at it. Just look at the 3 chapters. I don't care. And to my players' credit, they all they loved it because again, that's the best part of the Strixhaven book.
Yeah, some players will do it.
World building.
Yeah, some players will do it.
The setting,
which is interesting. I mean, I as a player, like, I'm probably not gonna read every little note, but you know, I'll look at the stuff that I feel like I need to sort of jump around a little. But you know, some players want to read 40 pages for some reason. I don't know why.
Different strokes for
because I
different
like
folks.
reading.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. I mean,
some
I like
players
reading,
do.
but I like reading not. That's the thing for
You'll
me,
have
right?
one player who will be like, I love lore and will read every you'll have that one player.
Yeah. Like, I like reading, you know, stories. I don't like reading lore. You know, reading lore is boring to me.
No, I like reading everything. I'll sit. You
Yeah,
know me. I will sit there and read Wikipedia.
No, I know
what
you're
saying.
like
Sam is
3 hours.
much like me. Sam is a tried and true wiki diver.
Yeah, no, I do not. I can't do
I've
it.
done that.
I can't do that shit.
Oh
Your
man, I really
animals.
like this character. Sits down.
Your
Time to
animals,
read about
both
them
of you.
for 3 hours.
Yeah, no.
I just wanted to learn all the
And
Game of
everything
Thrones
related
characters'
to me.
names, and then I just kept reading
Okay,
and
all right,
reading and reading.
No. Names? No. We don't do that here.
Yeah, Sam doesn't do
Yeah, no, Sam doesn't remember names.
I have a really hard time remembering people I talk to on a daily basis. Like their names, I have to repeat them in my head until it's just memorized.
We're lucky Sam remembers our names.
No, you guys are lucky. You guys were easy for me, probably because I threw myself into a D&D game with you.
We have
Also,
we have very simple names, yeah.
Matt is very simple. Josh
Matt,
is very simple as
Josh.
him. Very simple.
Yeah.
Like it's not hard for me to remember those. However, like there are people in our friend group that I'm like, I had to repeat the name in my head millions of times to be like, yes, this is this person's name. This is this person's
Let me tell you,
name.
I've
This
gotten
is this
some.
person's name.
I've gotten some interesting names at camp this summer.
Did you?
Oh yeah,
What's the most interesting name you got?
there was a kid named Seven. Seven. His name was Seven. I didn't believe him.
What? Like that's his birth name, or
That's his
that's
birth
his
name.
nickname?
No, that was his birth name. I did not believe this child. That was his
And
name.
he himself pronounced it as 7.
Seven.
And
Yeah.
it's spelled like the number
The
7.
number 7. Yeah.
I don't
Okay,
want to live on this
alright.
planet
It was
anymore,
not
guys.
spelled differently.
wait,
It was not said differently. Nothing.
Oh, okay. Oh, no. So it was spelled SEVEN. I thought you meant like it was just the number 7.
That would be worse.
Oh my god, that'd be even better.
Oh my
okay, I
god, that
thought
would
that's
have
what
been.
you said.
I don't know if that's amazing or fucking terrible.
Although this week we do have a girl named Blaze, which is interesting.
Oh, that poor child.
I thought her name was Blake, so I wrote it down, and then I saw that she put her name on her project as Blaze, and I went, oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Blazing Blake.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would probably remember those names.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to
those are-
forget Blaze.
Blaze
And
and
7.
7. Also had two Zions.
Yeah.
Zion.
That's
Zions.
interesting.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
listen. I have coworkers named Jack and Jeff, and I'm like, fuck. I have to remember who you are.
Which one's
The worst part is that they sit like right across from each other. I'm like,
Oh no.
this is gonna be a toughie.
That's what you gotta you have to try and true military last name them.
Yeah. See, the thing is, they're not military.
Oh, they're civvies. God damn it.
Yeah. Also, they when I first got here, they were like, yeah, we're a very, very casual environment. We talk to each other using first names. I'm like, I cannot do that. that is I will contractors, sure. Civilians that are above me, no. Listed commissioned, no, not happening. Brain will not compute. I'm not gonna call my fucking supervisor by his first name. Thank you.
What up, Paul?
Yeah, no, it'd be very awkward. Yeah, but yeah, no, I don't do names, but I do. This might sound a little bit weird. I definitely remember people's faces very well and certain features of them, and that's how I remember people, not by their names, but by their entire being.
It's
Yeah, I
something.
mean, no, that's fair. That's definitely some people just work like that. Like it's
Yeah.
It's something.
all right. So while we've hit a nice little pause, here is we're gonna dial it all the way back to 5 minutes in to what Matt was originally saying, which is how much is absolutely necessary to start a campaign. What is the bare minimum world building that you need to do to be able to start an effective game?
Wherever the players are at that moment.
Yeah, me and Matt have the same answer. The town they are in. Yeah, that's the minimum.
You always want to start off small and then build gradually.
You need no more than that. One town.
Yeah.
Fuck, you could shrink it to a district if they ain't gonna leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a district, we have a town,
more like mostly a town. A district's a little much, but yeah, a town.
Okay, and that then includes like people, places, things, right? Or is it just
if you want? Like, a couple of places maybe in there, like the places that the players are going to, and then maybe if you really want to think about it, be like, I guess there's a magic shop here.
Yeah.
It's probably a blacksmith and a church for healing. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I want a clown parade, like just going through the middle of town. So that's got to be there, I guess. But other than that,
interesting choice.
Yeah.
Clown parade. I mean, like, to start a campaign, I guess it depends on what you mean by start a campaign, because it's like a lot of the times you for that first session, you don't need a whole lot. Like, you literally, most of the time it's just roleplay and establishing like your players' characters and maybe like the one NPC that they actually talk to that's relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's not fully necessary, and like you can kind of go off from there. I don't ever do that because my brain is like, I got like 3 worlds building at the same time, and then I'm like, well, yeah, that's cool, that's rad. Why are we like this? And then I just pick one and go with it.
Why the fuck do you have 3? What?
Brother, my ideas are endless, and I'm very stupid.
Wait, 3 what?
3 different worlds.
Oh.
Interesting. Okay. So I am definitely outnumbered here. Although actually maybe not. I think my answer could very easily be wrapped up in yours.
Right. I do want to call you out later though, Isaiah, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait on that.
Okay. All right. I'm excited. So for me, I feel like yes. I think you need a town. think you need a few people to talk to. You need a few places to go. And these can be common sense places, right? Tavern, smithy, inn, magic shop, I guess, and bounty board. That's really all you need. Maybe like a town hall. Yeah, you need a few necessary NPCs. Maybe you can litter a few randos throughout the world who you might be like recurring characters of either the joke or just like menial variety, right? Like if you Stavros, the blacksmith, perfect example. Like we just walk up and be like, "Hey bud, how you doing?" Mm-hmm. I think that's probably the bare minimum you need.
Yeah.
Or that's at the very least the bare minimum I need. That's not at all what I did for my game.
No, not at all.
Yeah, because which is why I'm like, bro.
No, I distinctly remember Cardell when he was guesting. He was like, "You have a lot of NPCs. Do you make these guys up on the spot?" And I was like, "No, I don't."
Not at all, sir. Not
I
even
wish.
A little bit.
I wish. I think of NPC who would be interesting to meet or would like fill the world out in some way, and then I make them. I made like the general practitioner of my character's like hometown, and I was like, oh well, he definitely needs a nurse assistant, so I made that guy. And it's like, oh well, this doctor dude is definitely related to somebody else in this far off area who's related to one of the players, so I'll make him. Oh, and then they definitely have like a friend that they know in this other area, and it's spider webs.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I get it. I do.
Damn, that one went so quick. Shit, we're running out of questions fast.
Yeah.
Listen.
Oh, we can bullshit more. Don't you worry, sir.
Y'all want me to rant again?
I was gonna say, you want bullshit? You want
Not yet. Well, so okay. The next question, which goes directly into this, is how much world building do you do before session 0? do you do most of your world building before session 0, or do you let the world come into its own session by session?
So this does more feel like homebrew like question than like if I'm going to play in like Forgotten Realms or whatever.
Yeah.
You say that, Matt, but you did a lot of kit bashing to the Forgotten Realms to get your campaign to do what you wanted to do.
Wait, Forgotten Realms?
Yeah, you're in Strixhaven. No, not Strix.
He means your first
my homebrew
campaign.
game? Yeah, I didn't play in the Forgotten Realms. That was all homebrew.
No, Strixhaven.
Oh, Strixhaven. No, I didn't really change the setting much besides incorporating Mad Mage shit into it. Most of my like working has been with the fucking adventure. And maybe cutting half of the NPCs out because the book gives you way too fucking many.
Yeah, Matt, I feel you on that one. I know we talked about this already with the whole wow, my brain just melted. Pre-written adventures, but like there's a lot of homework to do with that shit. They end up not doing a whole lot of world building, quote unquote.
Yeah, like my players just met their classmates, and it's like I tried doing the thing because I'm like, man, I really hate half the cast in My Hero Academia. If they just cut half of them off, the show would be so much better.
What a take that is.
Like,
holy shit.
Right. Yeah, I know. I get like a lot of shit for that because everyone's like, I love all the characters in My Hero. I'm like, no. Half of them are useless.
Should. That's one of the best parts of that show.
But then in the fucking Strixhaven game, I'm literally like sitting there. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna set all these NPCs up and all this stuff. I'm gonna cut half of them.
Matt,
and then session 3. No. Before, and then my players they met 10 fucking classmates, and I'm literally like, why did I do this? I'm like, fuck, why did I do this? And my players liked it, so I'm like, all right, whatever, fuck. I guess it works.
Yeah.
Ding dong. My opinion's wrong.
No.
I was
mates, and then one of them is fucking mute.
It's not your opinion wrong. I was just gonna say, I would rather them put too many NPCs than not enough in the adventure.
Yeah, no,
Then you could axe the ones you don't like and keep the ones you know. So like,
true,
if they only give you 3, you'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but I've never heard of a pre-written adventure where they didn't give enough NPCs. I've never heard that as a complaint. It's either there's an adequate amount or it's way too many. I've never heard that ever.
Maybe.
I've never heard that as a complaint
all the ones
from.
that I've read, he's not wrong.
There's always too many. It's never been a thing I've heard of. Even with like other like Pathfinder adventures that I've read, or like the 1 or 2 Cyberpunk Red things I've read, and most of those were like one shots. So there's not going to be a lot of NPCs, but still, even that where it's like do I need this like cyberpunk cybernetic grandma?
Yes.
And then her husband,
yes.
And then all of her 10 kids for this one apartment building.
Absolutely.
And then the landlord and his entire family.
Matt,
it's like,
you're really selling this.
No, too many NPCs. It's bad. It's bad. Don't do it. Stop.
Nah.
Stop.
I'm tortured to DMs everywhere. I need to know all about them.
Yeah.
Tell me about Cyber Grandma.
Yeah.
Tell me about her
actually,
life.
I will say when it comes to like reading quote unquote lore, reading like the weird life story of like one little fucking Scrimbo Bimbo, the fucking butcher, like that shit I'll read.
Yep, same. No, it's funny, because you being like too many NPCs, and I'm like, that sounds amazing. That's so much I can work with.
I mean, that's literally what Isaiah is doing in his game, right? Fucking too many goddamn NPCs.
I know, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just more tools. It's just more tools.
Yeah, I mean, well, what I do though is like I'll have like NPC, like major NPC, minor NPC, and like some motherfuckers get way more attention than others, But yeah,
of course.
I definitely like throwing a lot of NPCs in. But something I will say that's kind of important to keep in mind is, as fun as it could be to concoct a lot of NPCs for various things, a lot of characters for various things, especially if you're the kind of person, like as far as world building goes, I really like making characters. That's always fun. Even if you only meet them fucking once. Like, you guys only met Karagarag, the fucking kobold scorpion herder, one time, but man, do I love that old fucker.
Yep.
But like, something to keep in mind, because I do think this is one of those things that will elevate your game quite a lot. And it's not immediately obvious. and I think I've mentioned this before, although I don't remember in what context or what episode, but I do believe I've mentioned this. When setting up scenarios, adventure hooks, whatever, so on and so forth, the temptation to sort of make a new NPC for every situation is quite strong. But a lot of the time it is good to reuse characters for various things and take characters that maybe they wouldn't have, maybe you weren't thinking this character would be there before, but now they are because it would work better. So like, the players meet a blacksmith in this one town or whatever, or in a part, in an area. And then a little bit later down the line, they go on an adventure to like recover a really important weapon, like some family heirloom sword. Don't make another NPC make the family heirloom sword the blacksmith's family, so they go back to the same dude. Like doing stuff like that can help your campaign quite a lot, because then players can get attached to characters and things. You could get attached to stuff, even if it maybe wouldn't 100% make sense. Just like do what you got to do to kind of make it make sense.
This reminds me of the Skyrim, like the first quest with the gold claw. It was like, my family's golden claw.
Yeah.
See, it's interesting. So I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I don't 100% agree with it either.
What?
The idea of like, just like in some instances, yes, like make it the NPCs.
I don't mean do it all the time. I'm not saying do it constantly.
Okay, yeah, because my thing is like when it's like, wow, it seems like the entire like world revolves around these 5 guys. That's kind of weird, isn't it?
No, not like that. Not like that. It's the kind of thing where like, what's a good example?
It's like there's like, an item or something the players need to buy. And it's like, well, there's already a shopkeep in town. I guess they'll just say he got a stock of it or some shit.
Right,
so I don't have to make another
it's that kind of thing.
Specific, like this guy's selling adamantium bars, the adamantium bar shopkeep. And it's like, no, just give it to the fucking magic shop.
Yeah, or like, for example, there's something, in my game, right? Oh, there's something going on in the criminal underworld. Rather than like come up with a new mob boss, there's no reason you guys couldn't just talk to Ralk again, right? Like, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Not necessarily, I'm not saying bend your entire story around 5 NPCs, unless, caveat, asterisk, if you're doing a small, tight campaign where it's like things are only happening within, a town, a small area or something like that, then I will say, yes, you should do a lot of NPC reusing, because that makes the tightness of the area feel more personal. And
yes,
this is something that came up a lot this is something that comes up a lot with Apocalypse World. Take a shot. Because usually you're dealing with, a town in the the wasteland or whatever, right? So because it's just a town, you're gonna run into the same people a lot. So the story's going to revolve around those people, and things are going to get very tightly knit, and characters are gonna sort of interact between each other, and you get these dramatic triangles that start to form between characters that create tension and shit. But yeah, it's a little different for something like D&D or Stars Without Number or Star Wars, where it's like we're traveling really far distances. Obviously, if you're playing in Star Wars and like, oh yeah, I was about to say Roganin, not Roganin, the one Rodian. Oh yeah, the one Rodian merchant Sklimbalabop is also the Rodian merchant on this other planet 30 fucking light years away. Like, yeah, no, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, it's a setting thing too. It also is type of campaign, right? If you're doing a Lord of the Rings style campaign, you're going from one end of the continent to the other, then obviously this doesn't really apply. But if it makes sense and it fits well, it is a useful tool. Don't constantly come up with new NPCs if you don't need to. Anyway, tirade over.
Yeah, I agree.
What was the question?
I agree with.
There was a question? I thought we were just ranting.
I think there was
the question was, how much do you do?
Oh, right. I can answer that too now if you want.
Yeah, I mean, how much like do you do before session 0, or how much do you do session to session? How much did you do, I guess, for session 0?
Yeah, well, so it kind of depends, right? Like on a lot of my other games, many of my other campaigns, not that much. But with my current campaign, I had a very I had an urge. I don't know. I had a very strong idea, like a thought that was cemented in my head. And it was one of those things where I'm like, I need to flesh this thought out quite a lot because I have this thought, but I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it. So I need to flesh it out to figure out what I'm going to do with it so I can make a campaign out of it. So my current campaign, I did a lot. And all of the world building I'm doing post the beginning, post session 0, as it were, is all stemming out from the initial narrative. Like everything is branching from this initial story, the war, right? Like the war way back in the day. Everything is branching from that initial concept. So every time I come up with new shit, it's like, how does it tie back to that or come from that? So I'm not, it's almost like I'm doing less world building now, and so much as like I'm just sort of like expanding the existing web or connecting the existing web in different places.
Still world building. It's
but it is, but it's different.
It's less grand form, and more, it's the whole major versus minor.
Yeah, it's a little more like noodly now.
Yeah,
and it's smaller chunks.
You've done all the major work. You're now doing the minor work of connecting pieces and being like, okay, so this is how everything connects. Yeah, but I mean, like,
it's funny because normally I don't do much I don't do a ton before the campaign starts. I'll do enough, obviously, but yeah, normally I'm trying to think of all my past campaigns. Not a lot. Even Stars Without Number, I didn't go that crazy, even though that was like a space-faring exploration thing. I still didn't go that crazy. I don't know what the difference was. For some reason, D&D, I was like, no, I need everything.
Probably because there wasn't a mechanical thing telling you exactly how to do everything. At least with like planets.
True. True.
Star Wars being a very set in stone.
Star Wars set in stone, and that you have a good point. Actually, Stars Without Number has a whole system for designing your sector. So yeah, maybe that's what it.
Probably. I mean, that's how I see it. Because like when you're handed a tool, you're like, okay, so I use the tool.
Yeah.
And then I'll just go from there.
Yeah.
Like I'll figure out the base place that the players are going to be hanging out at. Either during or right after session 0, and like everything else will just come naturally because you don't really need to do a whole lot. Whereas with D&D, if you're doing a homebrew setting, it's like
kind of feels like you need a lot.
Figure out way more because it's like you're not handed anything, so you're like, yes, it is time to write down the delicacies of the elven people that live over in this random quadrant of the map.
Legs. They really like eating legs.
And it's like, it's only these specific elves that really like eating legs, and they're really good at barbecuing them though. Like you go there and you're not expecting leg, and then they feed it to you, and you're like, holy shit, what is this? And they're like, it's leg, and you're like.
And you go what?
Oh god!
And you go of what species? And they go, you don't want to know.
Yes.
They all just start laughing, and you get really concerned.
Oh Christ!
I mean, yeah, no, I fully understand because it's like when I think of like world building in like cyberpunk or. World building like Vampire, like Vampire the Masquerade is literally, hey you buddy, it's just your world except shittier. And I went, okay, cool. I don't have to think about it.
Yeah. That makes my life easy.
That is the funny thing about playing a like modern day game, right? It's like, oh, it's just here, and you're like, oh, great.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, great. The only thing I have to do is look at a Chicago map.
Yeah.
Like, when you have a pre-established setting or a few more tools, it's less world building that you have to do because like you're like, okay, I just have to really create NPCs that my players will interact with and maybe a few places. So, but like if it already exists, who gives a fuck?
funny story about that. I'll explain more about this later. But for raisins, my players were like, "Oh, let's go to the abandoned mall, like a la Dead Rising." And I was like, "Okay, to the abandoned mall you go." And I was like, "Oh, I know Saratoga has a really big mall, but I'm too lazy to figure out how the fuck that mall works and its layout and shit." So I took the mall in the adjacent town next to me because I've been there a fuck ton and I know where everything is. So I was just like, yeah, there's like a Hot Topic and like a Spencer's and like a sporting goods store. Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, that works, I guess.
It was so fun, and I told one of my players, I was like, yeah, no, that was definitely just the gallery. And he was like, I'm not surprised. And I was like, yeah, no, you shouldn't be.
Yeah. Also, I don't know what it is about D&D. Like, I can't quite put my finger on it, but something about the mechanics of D&D almost feel like they're compelling you to do a bunch of world building. Like, I can't, like, I don't know what it is. I can't really specify. I don't know if it comes down to the spells or the weird races or what, but something feels, you look at D&D and you almost feel like you have to come up with a reason for a bunch of this bullshit. I don't know. It's one of those weird things. I've not felt compelled quite the same way as I did with, like, when running 5e specifically.
I don't know if it's because, like, either people don't read the Dungeon Master's Guide or people do read the Dungeon Master's Guide and comes from there. But, like, I'm literally flipping through it and it's like, here's the big bullet points for making your world. And it's like, gods oversee the world. Much of the world is untamed. It's ancient. Conflict shapes it. Magic. And it's like, oh, okay. And then, like, has a bunch of bullet points of, like, oh, it's, a loose pantheon and, like, all this other stuff. And it's like, kind of giving you the normal 5e, like, yeah, do whatever, it's okay, don't, yeah. And then everyone either panics and goes, oh god, that means I gotta be like Tolkien and write like a fucking similarity.
See, here's the thing though, is that like that doesn't really end up meaning anything to me because it's more like a vague suggestion than an actual like here's a thing to help you write.
It's not very
it's not a concise, hey, here's how you should do things if you want to run D&D.
It's also not very concrete.
I mean, yeah.
It's kind of like, stuff and things.
Here's some vagaries.
You're like, I guess.
I mean, like some of the bullet points they give, like they do like go into a little more detail under it and explain it a little better. But like then, some of it's like, loose pantheon, it could be like this. Here's an example, and then you're on your way. And so my thing is like, are people just not reading the DM guide, the Dungeon Master's Guide? Or are people reading it and then jumping to their own assumptions of, oh God, I have to write so much now.
I'm willing to bet money people aren't reading the DMG.
Well,
people just don't read.
Here's the thing. Wait, hold on. Here's the thing, though. Even if people do look at that, I don't think a lot of people find that's... Because I know the part you're talking about.
It's not stimulating.
I don't think, stimulating, but also I don't think people find it very helpful. I think it's a lot of it is too like broad and there's no mechanics or systems tied to it. And it's just sort of like, do a couple of this and a few of these. I don't think people find that helpful. So it doesn't feel like it's guiding you very much.
Right. And then you look up on YouTube and there's like 100 videos of like how the world build.
Right.
Do these 6 simple steps for world building and all this crap.
The fact that those exist implies that there is a sort of lack of that in the game itself. Because like, to give you an example, Matt, because I know you haven't looked at this game, but so in Stars Without Number, there is literally a whole like chapter, section, whatever you want to say, about creating your sector. And it's not just like, oh, do a little of this and a little of that. It's like tables, and it's like, all right, roll for the type of planet, roll for the position of the planet in your hex grid, roll for 2 important things, 1 negative thing, roll for a bad thing, roll for the weather. And it's like all these, and then make some choices about it. And then like, there's a sheet that you can do to fill all that information in. Like there's all these like very specific, like this is how you make a planet. Populate your area with the planet, factions and all that. Yeah, there's all this shit.
A lot that goes into it.
So it's like you look at all that and you go, oh, sick. all these tools, you know, whereas the DMG is kind of like, well, you should have conflicts and like, you know, the Pantheon's kind of loose, so you don't need to be too worried about it. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's fine as like an advice column, but it's not, I don't think a lot of people find it particularly helpful or reassuring. Like, I don't think anyone, like, I looked at the Stars Without Number section on like creating your space sector, and like the stress evaporated. I was like, oh, sick. I have a way to go about this. Looking at the DMG, I'm like, hey, okay, yeah, I guess. I still don't really know what I want to do.
Because it's like the Spark Notes version, and again, they did this to simplify it, make new players friendly and all this shit.
I don't think that actually makes things new player friendly though. Like that specific thing.
Because like some of the stuff, like you go in this and it's like, oh, here's what the atmosphere is, Spark Notes paragraphs. And it's like, this is here are the city sizes and a village size, and like they give you all
the sizes are helpful.
The sizes are helpful. They give you a whole table of contents describing different forms of government you can have in your campaign. They actually do go over the fucking currency in D&D here. Languages, dialect, like there's a lot of stuff, and it's just like some of this is helpful, some of this isn't. And again, I'm kind of on with Sam where you were like, people just don't read, and it's like, because I think these are good like jumping off points.
Again, I still feel like even if they read it, I don't know how many people would really get anything out of it.
It is definitely it helps spark ideas in some cases, but if it doesn't spark the idea, it's not going to get you anywhere, because it's like, okay, currency, that's cool and all, but if like, I'm not thinking about currency. I'm not on the currency level. I'm on the
right.
Is it a kingdom or a senate or like that level? Like, if you're not at the level of where you're thinking of that with world building, then it's not going to be helpful to you. And like,
well, also if you,
it's just I don't know.
If you were already kind of thinking about that part, then that's not gonna really
that as well
get you anywhere.
So I do like this conversation, but we are straying.
I mean,
sort of, kind of,
kind of. It's on the topic of world building.
Kind of, yeah. Well, only straying insofar as that we are like, we went down one rabbit hole, which led to another rabbit hole, which led to another rabbit hole. I don't think we've heard Matt or Josh, or Matt or Sam on this.
I was about to say, I definitely.
You definitely answered.
What was the question? It was what's absolutely necessary to start a campaign?
0?
My goodness.
How much prep do you do before session 0?
How much did you do before session 0 / how much do you normally do?
Sam, do you want to go first, or do you want?
Yeah, sure, I can go first. I mean, okay, so much like what I said earlier about how it comes naturally, the amount that I do specifically before session 0 is how long I've been preparing for this campaign. So if like I've had the idea rolling around for the campaign for like a year, I'll have a lot of mental prep work done and a lot of mental world building done before the campaign even starts. So like, for instance, Matt having, being a Damphir in the Friday game and having like a whole background specifically designed around vampires, and him being like, cool, that's rad. Like, that's because I've been thinking about the vampires for a while. Y'all are not touching it, but that doesn't matter because Matt's backstory is tied to it. And like, I think I sent Matt like 3 or 4 paragraphs.
I think it was a little more than that, honestly.
It may have been when he was making his character, and he's like, okay. And I'm like, this is like, this wasn't, hey, you need to read this, but like, I was like, look, this is like how the vampires act and their whole shtick. So like, you don't have to be this word for word. I'm not telling you how to play your character. I'm just saying that.
But if you don't play your character like this, I'm killing you.
More so the fact that the vampires are isolationists, and he's an oddity for being outside of the isolationist country.
The reason I'm not with my other vampires at the moment, Josh.
I get it. They're racist.
I don't know about all that shit.
That's a callback and a half.
Yeah, it is.
Fucking hell.
I mean, maybe a little bit, but like, you know, it was just some information that I say some. It was information that I had already prepped before session 0, and I was like, hey, look, you know, we need to talk about why you exist outside of their bubble, you know? So I gave him information. We talked about it. That was done before session 0. So like on the player side, yeah. But like, if it's like either a one shot or it's going to be relatively small, I don't do a whole lot of prep, because usually it's just me testing an idea out versus I want to run this grand campaign or whatever. Or sometimes I just have a world sitting there for ages because I've been writing and rewriting it for God knows how long. Because I've done that a couple times.
Yeah.
So it's like
all of us be like, yeah.
It just fully depends on like what the campaign is. Who I'm running it for is another thing. Because if it's like newer players, I generally don't do a whole lot of session 0 prep. Because I'm like, okay, we're going to talk a lot about you guys and like what I have for you and what you can expect. But outside of that, I'm not going to be like, all right, guys, here's the world. Here's all the notes you need to read forever. Yeah. And then just throw them to the wolves because they're newer players. They don't need all that. They're like learning how to be a fighter and remember that they have, you know, an extra attack or an action surge or second wind, or they're a paladin and they need to remember that they have smite. So it's always
you need to
I don't need to remember that I have smite, but some players do, because like some players are like, I don't remember what spells I have, and I'm like,
no spells.
Hey buddy, you might want to remember what spells you have.
Don't need smite when you don't need spells when you have justice.
I mean, listen, paladins. You know, that haste came in handy.
It did, in fact. Speaking of which, I was like, oh, let's stay on topic. I got to segue super quick.
Vroom, vroom.
So, Josh, I realized in that Baragon fight, Zephyr would have taken a lot less damage because Baragon would have had disadvantage to attack anyone but me because of the Thunder Gauntlets. Basically, that whole fight. Of like the 6 rounds, I hit him at least 3.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been every round. That only applies for till your next.
Yeah, so it would have been at least half the rounds that Zephyr was getting actively dicked upon.
I mean, the first round that he got dicked on,
maybe.
Yeah, no. That
but
first
also,
round.
my man's was rolling pretty high, so like not necessarily.
True.
Either way.
Zephyr AC not that high. So
also
either
true.
way.
Yeah.
Forgetting mechanics, my favorite thing in D&D.
Yeah, look, Django is so complex to play now that like, yeah, it do be happening.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are times before Leah's whole class change where I was like, I forgot to pop that last turn. You know, just things. Because and this is again why like newer players, I try to not give them a whole lot of information, but like if it's a group of players that I know or a group of players that I know is experienced, I'm like, all right, just, you know, I've prepped a lot of mental notes for you guys today. I have a bunch of world building done, so if you ask me questions, I can answer them, although it may take me a moment to reach into the depths of my brain to pull them out if they're not written down.
The deep notes, you might say.
Buddy, you've been trying not to mention those. Literally been trying for so long, for almost an hour.
What are you talking? What do you mean?
I
what do you?
I just.
What do you mean?
I
didn't. What?
I can't believe you've done this.
Same, bro.
I can't believe you've done this.
Monster.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, and finally, Matt.
Hey guys.
Hey,
Yeah.
Wait, Matt, talk about donuts.
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 I fucking love. You know what? No, side thing.
Hey, I got a
Munchkins.
Dunkin' Donuts where I work.
10 out of 10. I can't. I'm not a fan of the whole. I'm not a fan of the donut. Yeah.
Like in
Anyways,
the building.
fuck. But no, seriously, honestly, so like, yeah, I kind of agree with Sam with when it comes to new players, build enough to start. You know, you don't have to go into crazy detail. You know, like Sam did with like, you know, if your character specifically has like a thing where they're like, you know, it's like, oh, I'm a Dragonborn. Is there a lot of Dragonborn in this area? It's like, oh, not really. But, and then you and the player can like work out some stuff.
No, you can't play a fucking Dragonborn. Fuck off.
Too bad. They're the best.
He said we couldn't play as a Dragonborn in his game. Cries.
Cries. Yeah,
Me,
terrible.
having never thought of wanting to play a Dragonborn in his game, still cries.
But yeah, like you build enough to just get the campaign starting. You start off small. I watched, so besides literally what it says in the Dungeon Master Guide, I think I watched like a video way back when of Chris Perkins talking about like how to get a campaign started. And he literally like start small, then just spiral out from there. First you start off in the wherever the fuck the players are at the moment, maybe the surrounding area. Then what's the next town or what's the next place they're going to, and then what's around that. And then as you start thinking about it, more ideas and people and places and things will come to you. You know, start off with the land, then maybe the people that's there, maybe some of the history. Then you can go in like the real nitty gritty of like the deities and politics and, you know, the conflicts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then yeah, for newer players or for experienced players, then you can kind of go ham and be like, hey guys, I wrote a 30-page campaign document. You don't have to read it.
Eat your dog.
Right, yeah, that skim it if you like. You know, there's a bunch of shit in here, but it's enough to like. You have to add, like, as a dungeon master, at least give off the impression that like the world is real to you, and if you can convey that to the players, then they'll be super engaged with your world, and they'll start asking questions. And if you didn't end up building or world building off of everything, their questions could ignite some ideas, and then you just world build from there.
Ignite,
So-
you say?
Ignite, yes.
Lighter.
All right, Pyro.
And yeah, and then adding too much detail early on.
Really
It's mainly a
bog down your
DM
thought
thing. It's
process
mainly
as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And then kind of like Sam was saying earlier, my whole shtick of like stealing from everything. Yeah, steal stuff, change it, morph it, into your own thing. I literally grabbed I grabbed from the what's the Wildmount book, the one of the elf places, one of the elven towns, and just threw it in my world and changed a couple names and stuff because I'm like, all my players are going to go to a place with like the elves run it. Shit, I need an idea.
Is it that's
Mercer Townia.
no.
Mercer
Oh God, what's it called? What's the town called? The one in the Feywild, right?
No, not the one in the Feywild.
Or the one in the north?
I think it's the one in the north. Yeah.
The one under the ice with like the plates, like the big
I don't
Discworld
remember.
cities.
It's in the Wildmount book. I don't remember. It's been so long since I've looked at it, but I literally read the stuff from that chapter and was like, oh, this is cool. Changed a couple of names, changed a couple of locations, added some stuff, and then was like, all right, I'm done. Yeah.
Stealing is fun.
Yep.
When it's from pieces of work for your D&D game.
Not actually.
If you're
Exactly.
if you're stealing physical objects or I don't know, an NFT by
Oh my God.
save the
Oh
image,
my God,
know,
what the fuck is wrong with you people? Every episode that I run, y'all be dropping these call outs and I'm like, please cease and motherfucking desist.
I also do want to add one little itsy bitsy thing. I know I'm fucking I'm a Matt Colville simp, and he did a great video a couple years ago called "Lore versus Writing."
Hey, I am too.
I know. I know, but I bring his name up more than
Call my simp
any of
out.
us.
Important.
But he did a really good video. It's like it's from an early stream a couple years ago, lore versus writing, and he goes into detail of like, kind of on the topic of world building and lore and all that stuff, and the difference between that and then writing something and engaging players and adding tension.
That whole video, Matt, is basically my whole point about how I do world building. I like to do writing. I don't like to.
Yeah.
It's pretty much.
Okay.
Of course, you kind of always.
Just it's like you're making a meal. You need a little bit of every ingredient on the recipe list if you want to make
every spice. Every single spice known to man on that chicken.
Considering this is coming from the guy who doesn't like spicy food, I think that's a bad idea.
Okay, spices, not only hot spices.
You literally said
Josh, it's like the hot pot
spice, though.
It's like the hot pot we made. You just throw in all the different meats and vegetables and stuff, and there you go. You got your lore world right there.
I also don't know if that's exactly how
my next world I'm calling hot pot world.
Oh my god, hot pot world.
Hell yeah, bro.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to Carrotopia.
Now I want hot pot again.
Carrotopia.
I do too. That shit was so good. We went. Yeah, I mean, the only one who wouldn't know is Sam, but it was Moogie's birthday like 3 weeks ago. It went to a hot pot, and that shit was a bussin'. It was so good. That being said, I do have a question for Matt, and it was about a call out. And I'm curious to know what I'm about to be called out for.
No, this isn't really relative to, I guess, that question. Or actually, it kind of is like how much world building. Yeah, the fact that because you specifically said that your players were like, hey, I want to run this game, or you told them I want to run this game.
Later. Yeah.
I need a whole year to write my campaign world.
Yeah.
If I was one of your players, I literally would have said, no, I'm good. I think I'll run my own game.
Yeah.
Because
to be clear,
yeah,
I only said that because I was we were in school, and it was my senior year of college. That's the only reason why I said it to you.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. But that's not really the point.
Well, the point, my point is kind of like we were saying, just build enough to keep the campaign going.
Yeah.
Yes, senior year, school stuff aside, work, everyone, whatever. You could have run it. You could have just built off their first sand dune or whatever and started from there. And this isn't me saying bad. It's mostly that for the other DMs out there, don't be like, I have to build the world from scratch. I have to do all this stuff.
I have to write Lord of the Rings first.
I have to write my novel. Let me do that, and then we can play. It's no, dude, just start. Just do it. Just go. Just start small. Again, the big thing, start small. It's in the DMG. Every one of these 17 videos I'm looking at on YouTube that says about world building, their first points are start small. You just start really small. Town, the house they're in, the prison they're in, wherever they are at. Start with the players and their general surrounding, and that's all you need to go. Don't write a novel to have to start your campaign. That's kind of fucked.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, yeah, I mean, if I was one of your players, Isaiah, and you told me I'll do it in a year, I would have been like, never mind.
Fair enough.
See,
because I would have been like, I want to play now, and I don't know if I'm gonna give a shit anymore in a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because in a year I'll forget,
I'll forget, or I'll have started playing in another game, or there's a lot of things.
Hey, look, that's all fair. Like I said, it's the only reason why I said give me a year. Which is to say, let me do some world building while I'm doing my thesis, and then when the summer starts, we'll run the game. Because I made this, so I set it that August, and we started the game in April. So yeah, it was 5 or 6 months, but it was really only because teachers putting the fear of God in you and being like, you don't finish thesis, you don't graduate, and I was like, oh, that's a little ridiculous, but all right. I mean, it's not ridiculous. It's completely fair, but still.
No, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and people being like, nah, man, I was down for it, but nah, I'm not in it. I'd be like, all right, yeah, that's fair. And I would just look for other people. Now, I really wanted to run it with the party that I'm currently running it with, and I'm very thankful that they all were able to hold off until then.
Yeah, but, shout out to you guys. You're the champs.
But yeah, no, I wouldn't, if people were like, hey man, nah, it's been a year, like I got my own life to take care of, I'd be like, yeah, that's fair, my guy. But I wouldn't just give up on the game because like a few of my players would like are no longer able to play. You know, you just keep looking until you find, like looking around until you find it, you know?
I mean, to help build off of that, hey, listeners, it is important to know your limits and what you can do. If you feel like you're not able to play in a game or run a game or play in as many games as you are in, it is okay to just say no or to put things on pause. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it can be unfair to other people, but honestly, and this may sound mean or rude or whatever, but you should be a little selfish because honestly, you come first when it comes to like your mental health or your priorities. Don't feel obligated to start running a game just because some people want to play a game right now, and if you don't feel like you can, then don't.
Oh yeah,
You know?
yeah. Don't. I wasn't implying like, you know, drudge yourself from the
forcing
basement.
it.
Yeah,
to,
I understand. I'm just saying that like I don't want this to be misconstrued because yes, if you feel like you need to do a whole Tolkien ass essay to run a game, you don't need to. But also don't feel like it's necessary for you to just start games because, you know, you have the urge right now, but also understand and your players do as well, but also understand that like you need to take care of yourself before you can run a game, because yes, D&D is fun, tabletop is fun, but it needs to be done in moderation, and you need to be able to take care of yourself, because like if you end up blocking out like your entire week to do things, and then like D&D, the fun thing that you have, is the only time that you like have fun, sure, keep it. But like if all you do is D&D or tabletop games, maybe reel it back, because you might put yourself out.
Yeah.
I've been there. It's not fun, you know. It sucks too, because it's like a lot of the time there's that passion in the very beginning, and then you're like 2 months in, you're like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I shouldn't have started this.
Ooh, yeah,
at this specific time in my life.
That's just the struggle bus where you're like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm ready, I'm doing it, I'm doing the thing, and then you get a couple sessions in, you're like, never mind, turn the bus around, turn the bus around.
Yeah, like you're just like, I don't have the energy to do this, or I don't have the time, or whatever life reasons.
Or
like,
I thought I would like the idea, and then it turns out I don't like the fucking idea.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Like and like I said, you know, it is okay to be like, hey, players, this isn't working out for me. You know, if you want to continue it, we can continue it for a little while, but like we might need to stop soon because of X, Y, and Z. Like what? Wait. What's this word I'm about to say? Communication. Oh my God.
We don't do that here.
No, we don't do that.
Shit.
Communication
Ridiculous.
is key. Understanding that you need to take care of yourself is also key. My little tirade rant or whatever is over, but like seriously, people, please take care of yourselves. It is very important.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I realized I never answered the question. Which,
No,
which
sir,
is to
no, you
say-
did not, but we know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I did a fuck ton of world building up front before session 0. I plotted out, like the 3 main cities and about 12 minor like settlements / guilds, and about 5 towns and settlements. And all that is to say, they had names and they had like a gimmick, right? Like one is on the water, one is a casino and shit like that. And the NPCs, they really just sort of came into their own by themselves, because again, it was like, oh, well, here's a settlement, I need a mayor. Oh, the mayor knows this one guy. Oh, but that one guy's got a brother. Oh, that one guy's got like a few other friends who do X, Y, and Z. NPCs are really easy for me. I'm not really sure what that is about.
Just every time
Same.
you mention NPCs and you think about the weird, disgusting human.
Yeah, the Everett, the fucking the
Yeah.
banker dude who wears the latex gloves. Yeah. They met him a few times.
Think about him.
He is a fan favorite. A lot of people really like Everett.
What a twat. Twat he was.
Damn, leave him alone. He's just a hypochondriac.
It was also like the way you, like, the voice you gave him that made him just even more sound like a twat.
He just had a deep voice and stuttered.
Yeah, but like the way you did it, I don't know, something about him just made him seem like an ass.
Yeah, but no, he was just like, hello everyone. I'm just,
My man's could not get his shit together.
No, he could. He's doing better now. He was his first day on the job when you guys rocked up. So look, it happens.
Doing better than me. That means Hawk needs to kick his fucking door in and room today some more.
He had to deal with Dirge for about 3 months, so I'm not sure what level of damage you can do to make it worse.
Fair enough.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And we got some time for one more question. So, I was too late. I'm gonna ask. What's your favorite aspect of world building? Creating history, lore, NPCs, map making, said nobody ever, monsters, politics.
Map making, said nobody ever.
I know what I said, and I said what I meant.
A map does actually really help when it comes to like making a world and stuff.
It really do.
Hey, look, it helps.
That shit.
That doesn't mean anyone likes doing it.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah, yes.
Listen,
do you like it, Sam?
Making the map and all the little squigglies, it helps me put places in place. Haha. And like really think about like locales.
I
like,
just got the mental image of Sam sitting at his desk going, "Ooh, squealies!"
I mean,
but in the Garugamesh voice.
Garugamesh.
Oh my god.
Squealies.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like it's like the SpongeBob drawing the, and it's just like, yes, I'm doing it, Garugamesh, and then at the end, it's just like one city.
Shouting Garugamesh.
Sam's nutsack, just Garugamesh.
That's not like that. That is not true. This is slander. However,
Nuts
I do
out
really like saying
Garugamesh. Nuts out Garugamesh.
Nuts out for Garugamesh.
No. So I was gonna say that part of my like physical note taking process is also doodling. So squigglies, and then they end up making like the base form of a map, and I'm like, okay, all right, so this would be here, that would be there, that would be there. And my only issue with map making specifically is that it is not always easy to do for your players to look at.
True. Very true.
That is probably the part that I like the least, because you end up using tools a lot unless you just end up MS painting it.
I think though that is wow, let's try that sentence again. I think that is a digital player specific problem, right? Because IRL, you could just draw a massive map on like a whiteboard or a dry erase or paper.
Did somebody say whiteboard?
Don't you do it, Sam. Don't you do it.
No. I do have a little tangent.
Oh my God.
Today, my supervisor came up to me and was like, "Do you want a whiteboard?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I do."
Oh,
hell yeah, I do.
I'll take
He
several.
doesn't know what he's
like,
just
all right.
done.
I'll take your whole stock.
He's
I'll take your
"All right,
entire stock."
I'll get a measuring tape so we can put it up on the wall next to you. I'm like, yes.
Jesus Christ.
Let's fucking go.
So anyways, yes, this is true. It definitely would help me more if we were physical players. However,
Oh my God. I just imagine Sam buying like a giant fucking ream of paper and tacking that shit on the wall and just going to town.
that would be what would happen. You would see a
in-
little notebook
In Sam's D&D
next to
room,
it?
because Sam
Yeah.
would have a D&D.
God, I absolutely would have a D&D room.
Yeah, no, I know.
Listen, streamer house, we have the D&D room. All you see is just reams of paper on the walls, and we're like, Sam claimed all of this. We didn't even have the chance.
Oh, fuck.
There's no lie here, and that pains me.
No, not at all. No lies at all.
Yeah. I mean, like, I literally, if I had more time in the day, I would actually like make city maps and stuff, but it takes a lot of time to do those.
I wouldn't. I hate that
where
shit.
I'm satisfying. See, that's the kind of work where I'm like, I just get the urge, and I'm gonna make a whole ass city right now.
No, that makes me wish for death.
Same.
I still don't have a world map for my players 2 years
Same,
in,
bro.
and they're never gonna get one. I'm sorry,
Same, bro.
players. It ain't happening.
What the fuck? Isn't it just like a map of the U.S. but like fucked up?
Yeah, well, it's because
Yes.
like the entire geography has changed. There's like volcanoes and shit all over the place, and I just like just don't have the I don't have the
Sir.
time and the fucking inclination.
Sir.
Like, no, I'm sorry.
Just find a map from Fallout or something.
Matt, I'm in the
Come
Matt,
Do
I'm in
you
the
think it's
exact
that
same.
easy?
I'm
Do
in
you
Shame.
think it's that easy?
Shame.
I am in the same boat, so I'm not even gonna. I ain't gonna front.
But yours is even easier. Isn't it just an
Correct.
island?
Yes,
My fucking god.
I have one tiny portion of the island. That's it. Everything else, that fucking cares.
My disappointment, maximum.
Bro, I just don't care.
My
Fuck
days are
maps.
ended.
I've said this before. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Fuck maps. I hate them. I hate dealing with them. I don't want them.
I like maps. I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum.
Would you say maps are your favorite part, though, Sam? Of world building?
They're up there, honestly. I think I spend more time thinking about how things work with the map than anything else. Because I'm like, okay, so I have this base idea for this country, and then I like write down a basic timeline of their history, and I'm like, okay, but like, how do trade routes work?
Mm.
And then brain do map stuff. Now the funny thing is, I absolutely hate placing tiny villages.
I mean,
I
yeah,
hate
fair.
it. It's like, I'm like, bruh, nobody's gonna record in fucking 3700 BC that there's this tiny village over here under the mountain. Like, that's my
100%.
mentality when it comes to it. I'm like, the players just come across the village.
No, that is
and
actually, that is real, though, right? Like, if a village was not particularly
Yeah.
relevant, it ain't getting recorded.
Yeah, no, that so like I'm like, yes, this is the village of Scrimbler Bimbler.
Yeah.
And they have a tavern. It's pretty run down, but like they
Wumbo
have
Jumbo
it.
Town ain't getting written on the map.
Yeah, pretty much. So like, I don't ever focus on that unless it's like very prominent or like, for instance, the village right outside y'all's school that I don't think any of you have like actually gone to because it is quite a walk away.
We're also
but, like,
quite busy saving the world.
Yeah, we're doing stuff.
mean,
Stuff and things.
Stuff and things and stuff.
things and stuff. Yeah.
It's like, look, we'll vacation when the world is safe. Okay, it's fine. It's like, but we're in trouble now, and it's like, yeah, but you're just a tiny village.
You're just a tiny village in the grand scheme of this mage people over here. I mean, yeah, but
All right, so it's up there for Sam.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I hate map building. I wanna do it.
I know. What's your favorite part, my guy?
No, I know.
Your question.
I know. No, I know. I'm just saying I hate map.
I just want to bitch about maps more.
I'm gonna be real. It's probably lore and NPCs. I love making NPCs. I like making them quirky and funny and like weaving them into the plot and the setting to make the setting feel more real. Yeah, like because for me, yes, I know that NPC bloat can be real, and I have suffered it myself trying to do 15 different voices in one conversation. It sucks, but I get like when I see it's like the video game, right? It's like video games from the early 2000s where it's like you're in a town, but you can't walk into any doors, and all the windows are like a matte material, and there's just one guy in the middle of the town, and you're like,
the doors aren't models; they're all just textures.
exactly.
It's like Ruby Season 1 where like all the outline of people.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no
pretty much.
detail.
That's a good way of pointing it. Also, ow, my soul, but it's true.
Sorry, I wasn't an attack. It's just the first thing that came to my mind was like, oh yeah,
well, no, like,
that's
it's
a
like
good
that,
idea.
It's that first shot with Yang and like 5 other silhouettes, and you're like, the fuck. Yeah, I hate that shit. I hate feeling like if I was in the game, I can't walk up. It's like, oh yeah, I want to walk up to the guy at the watchtower, and then be like, oh yeah, well that
Watchtower explodes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here comes this NPC that like, here comes the shopkeep who's also working 12 jobs. I hate that shit, and like
Listen,
I don't.
He's just trying to feed his family. Come on.
Yeah, it's fine. And like, look, if you guys do that, if any DMs out there do that, I'm not saying I hate your setting. It just like it irks me on a personal level, and I know that it's like just a me thing, so I'm not gonna like hold anyone to that standard. But the fact that like in my setting, I like to think that you can pick out any individual walking on the street, and they probably have a name. And if not, like a tiny, oh, they work at the guard post. They work in the general store. They're a farmer. Just stuff like that. A part of it is because it makes me feel big brain, but also because I just find it very fulfilling.
Yeah. It also makes the world feel more alive, when it's like, what's the critical role thing Liam O'Brien does where he'll randomly just he's like, you old man, and then Matt Mercer has to come up with an old man NPC.
Someone find me a child.
Yeah.
Quick, someone find me a small boy.
Someone find me a small boy. That's what it is.
That's not something I would want.
No, don't worry, Sam. No, Sam. The small boy was for entirely legitimate and not weird reasons. Don't worry. It wasn't weird.
He walked up to the small boy and said,
out of context, that is very weird.
Yes.
I know. Well, they were like, why? Why do you need a small boy?
Oh, yeah, he didn't specify why for a while.
Yeah. They were like, he's like, here's a platinum, find me a beret. I don't give a fuck where you find it from. And he was like, wait. Just find you a beret? He's like, yeah, find me a beret. I don't care where it comes from. I want a beret. And the kid was like,
okay.
Okay. And he had that beret to the end of the campaign.
He did.
Even with context, that's still weird.
But it's a different kind of weird.
It's the
good kind.
Why is specifically a small boy for this?
True. I don't remember. I don't.
It's because it's like, the Christmas Carol. It's like, you there, young boy.
You
what
there,
day is it?
I
need a
understand,
beret.
but it's still like
not at all, boy.
It could have just been anybody.
It could have been.
Oh my
could have been.
It
goodness.
wasn't.
So funny.
Oh, shit.
Christ. Okay.
I think I'm just going to jump in here. Yeah, I think for me it's same. NPCs. I actually like the monsters too, like setting up where certain monsters are in areas or what's in the forest? Probably goblins.
I count monsters as
Goblins.
Yeah,
See,
I guess
that's map stuff to me though.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess it is kind of map stuff
Maybe.
too, yeah.
Or what monsters in the place the players are at.
Thinking about climate, thinking about the place that the players would be.
How many spots can I put owl bears?
See, I don't do that climate.
What races would they? Why? Yeah, no owl bears.
So many owl bears.
Right.
There's this one place called the Owl Bear Forest.
You wouldn't guess what's in there.
Goblins. Nothing but goblins.
One brain cells.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing about I don't know. Do you guys do I don't do dates or times or the weather really. I didn't realize until last year. Apparently in the Forgotten Realms, a week for them is 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And I was
I
just
on that French calendar.
I just ignore that shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, same. I just use ours. I literally name things. I use a very similar thing to the Matt method, which is just putting an M in front of everything. Or I'll just remove
Monday.
a letter.
Oh, wait.
Or instead of Monday, Newsday, Men's Day, Thursday, Friday,
so it's Monday.
Matter's Day.
No, Matt. Yeah, for Matt, it's still Monday, but it's just spelled with 2 M's.
The first M is silent.
It's Monday.
Yeah, he's doing the Eridan thing. I know you don't know what that means. There's a character in a specific web series that I shall not mention who does double. Yes, Homestuck. He pronounces two W's, so it's it's Wednesday. He doubles it up. It's very strange. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
But yeah, I think it's for me. It's definitely NPCs, the people interacting with the players, and you were saying, making them quirky, making them fun. And it's all right, they gotta go to this blacksmith. Oh, I don't know, whatever. What haven't they seen for a while? Oh, they never met an NPC bugbear. I guess I'll make the blacksmith a bugbear. Why not?
I miss Scrumbo.
I miss Ragadraga.
Ragadraga. Yes.
He was around for exactly one combat.
He was great.
And then his son, Rada Rada.
The fuck up.
That we never met.
You literally team rocketed him into the sky.
Good times.
So,
yeah.
I cast in large.
I like to think Paz hired him one day just to be like, hey, bud. So I feel real bad, and there's no insurance in hell, so I'll put you on the payroll.
Nice.
Yeah,
I mean, characters are fun. I like NPCs.
Yeah.
I also, unfortunately, end up making a poly a lot because brain when go to thug, just think of name Paulie. I
Paulie,
don't know why.
No, sorry, it's not Paulie, it's Paulie.
Paulie. Hey, Paulie.
I always do Vinny for some reason.
That's a good one too.
In my game, my characters have like a Brooklyn thug, like mobster character. And he's just a hyena man, and they like this was the fucking bandit that they adopted / kidnapped and was like, you're gonna live with us now.
Definitely kidnapped him.
Yeah, they put him at gunpoint and they were like, do you want to die? And he was like, no. I'd say no. They're like, okay, cool, go back to our house, tell them we sent you, they probably won't shoot you in the face. Here's a combat knife. It's about a 5-day run. Not walk, run. And by the time they got back, they were like, did you send a fucking hyena here? We almost shot his ass. We threw him in the dungeon or the jail, and they were like, oops.
We should have wrote a note. Definitely should have wrote a note.
They did write a note, but they were like, yeah, he was waving around a piece of fucking paper and almost shot him in the face. Yeah, it was very funny.
That's good. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I think that's everybody.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't answer. Okay, then. Hurry up.
Man, fuck this shit. I hate this.
Damn. All right. You're gonna just
No, I'm kidding.
On my episode too, in front of everybody. Bet.
No. NPCs are definitely much like Isaiah. Maps can suck a fat hot load. NPCs are pretty high on the list. But I do think I actually kind of answered this question already in the beginning.
You did.
Yeah, my favorite thing is honestly coming up with that grand sort of narrative that leads into the inciting incident of the campaign. Like, what's the big thing that led us to where we are now? That's honestly like my favorite thing to come up with, because that is where I really branch everything out from. Like, for example, one that I can remember decently well is Stars Without Number. There was the sort of grand narrative was there was this alien species who kind of had these two factions among them. One that was kind of like humans are cool, and one that was kind of like murder all the humans, they're awful, we need to get rid of them. And there was this sort of inter-civil war situation that happened, and then humans learned / gained psychic abilities so they could compete in said war to actually like defend themselves, because the aliens were fucking them up big time. And the ones that were on Team Human were like, hey, we could teach you how to do cool psychic shit. And then because of all that crazy psychic energy flowing around, there's this event that's sort of, this is the thing that's actually baked into the lore of Stars Without Number. There's this thing called the Scream, which is where like there used to be way more psychics, and in the current day there are far less psychics than there used to be, because some sort of big massive event killed most of them. So in my setting, it was like, oh, the Scream happened because there were so many psychics fighting each other at once, and the aliens were part of it. And so that killed most of them. And then because it was a war, a lot of technology got... And so like I just kept going and going and going.
So
until I eventually...
They Eldar'd, right? They
Yeah, kind of. They Eldar'd, they Prothean, that kind of thing.
Nice.
And then, that sort of led into... My players made a cult, and they worshiped these old aliens because they found a bunch of artifacts relating to them, and like that's sort of the inciting incident, and that leads into so it's like that thing is the thing that really like gets my jimmies a rustling. And I really want to talk about my current campaign, but I can't because my 2 players are right here. But it'll happen at some point.
Face.
Yeah.
I will talk about it at some point.
Just cover your ears real quick.
Yeah,
right,
and Sam, just fuck off for a second. Matt, I've already... Wait, Matt, I literally told you all about it.
I know, but this is just going to be a conversation between me and you and the audience. So it's okay. All right, hold on. Give him a second.
I will probably at some point sort of on like once my campaign is over, I will probably do a little like talking about it thing just for funsies. But yeah, that is the real meat and taters. Taters. For me, when it comes to like world building stuff, the only problem with that, and I've talked about this before too, is that, sometimes I get so wrapped up in that sort of grand background narrative that then I kind of go, oh wait, the players have to come in at some point and do a thing. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So there is that little like thing to be aware of sometimes, is when you get into that snafu of a situation where you're like, you need to make sure that you have an idea for what the inciting incident that actually kicks off your players like doing their shit. You need to make sure you have that figured out. And I had it pretty well figured out for my previous campaign, although in hindsight, there was some things where I'm like, oh, I should have done this instead of this. But for the most part, I had a decent like inciting incident situation.
So is hindsight.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So is hindsight.
I mean, yeah, that would be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I also really, really love coming up with fucking irrelevant, tiny little tidbits of shit. Like, oh, do they have plumbing in my sitting? Oh yeah, no, they probably do. How would the plumbing work? Oh, I think it would work this way. No, nobody gives a fuck if there's plumbing in my setting, but I want to know. So I thought about it. Nobody cares.
Yes.
Nobody cares that there's elevators or how the elevators work, but I care. You know? So I like doing that random
sitting
little...
here caring about the elevators.
Yeah, me sitting here also caring about how the telephones work so I can make them.
Oh yeah, well, true. But yeah, like that kind of shit where it's like random little tidbits all over the place. That kind of lore, I'm like, yeah, that's good shit right there. Oh yeah, some tasty taters.
Nice. But no, I look, I feel the lore that no one cares about. Again, like artificial food.
Yeah.
I took this right out of Ghost in the Shell, but the idea that like in Gits, there's like a distinction between like food for non augmented like cyborgs and food for like full body cyborgs, and the food for full body cyborgs are like technically nutritious, like a human can eat them and they can gain sustenance from them, but like it's not much because it's just like some amino acids and like carbohydrates for the most part, or glutamines. It's just like paste that's been oddly like it like tastes, it looks like bread, it's got the texture of bread, but it just sort of tastes like cardboard. So in my setting, that food exists in the super high-tech city in the apocalypse that is in of itself is a massive Tron reference. But like it's becoming more of like it's becoming its own thing, and I'm very happy that it's like growing. Even though the players have only gone there twice to go shopping, I'm changing it. It's becoming more fleshed out. Yeah, I was really onto that food thing for a while because I was like, oh, well, what if there are some people who get a modification to their tongues that makes the food taste like real food, but those people probably die really quickly because they won't stop eating the food, but it's not giving them any nutrition, so they're probably starving to death over like a few months, and that's probably really bad. So anybody who's like even slightly aware of what's going on will like refuse that modification at all costs. Yeah, it was a very, very deep rabbit hole, as you can see. As you can see. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
You know, as you do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just get those ideas and you're like, I can't say no. It's like, you know, it's like when your friend rolls over into you and is like, shot number 5, and you're like, I guess.
No, it's like, no, man, no more shots, and they hand it to you, and you're like, how could you do this?
You're like, I can't. What have you done to me?
Damn you for knowing I'll never turn down a shot if it's put in front of me.
Placed in the palm of my hand.
That's bad party etiquette. I can't party foul. Christ. Oh, here's one. Here's a question. Like as we begin the wrap up, because we're hitting 2 hours. Well, let's expand this question to you two. What is some completely irrelevant lore that we or you know we as for one of you, we as players, or for your players, Matt, they'll probably never find it, but you just think it's neat?
Oh,
like in the current game or in my old game?
Either or.
Might have to pull. Hold on, I gotta open the deep.
Shut the fuck up.
Well, you already said it, Josh. Unless there's something else.
There might be more.
I don't really know.
There might be more.
I don't really know with the strict save and stuff, anything, because they got like the gist at the moment of everything at the moment, and then on like all of Undermountain and Mad Mage is going to be the time. I'm trying to think of like something that I don't think I ever really went into, and this is kind of going into the whole like lore / NPC / a little bit of politicking, a little bit, because I kind of liked, I liked adding a little bit of like the Game of Thrones politics, but I never went like super deep into it because I don't think any of my players were super interested in it, and I was like surface like of the water, like I like a little bit, I like the tiny bit, I like knowing who's going to betray who, and that's it.
Okay.
But I think it was like the general like plan of my bad guy my players didn't realize. Like my big bad was like, I don't know, I think that he was like using a cult, and he was using a cult that was essentially basically gonna summon a big red dragon god, burn the world, and then basically the big bad, who was like this paladin guy, was gonna like save his people in like a protective bubble and be like, all right, well, when the world is over, I'll kill the dragon, and then I'm gonna look like, super mega hero. And that was basically like the whole like plot of the campaign. And the players never learned like why was that his plan. I think it was just like he was just trying to save face. He was just trying to save face, and his country was falling apart. There was too much civil war, and he's like, I need to do something drastic in order to like, make myself look like the ultimate ruler I am. Oh, I know. I'll have some sort of like dragon just burn the earth and destroy everything except for my little area I rule, and then I'll just start from scratch.
Nice. Nice. He's pulling a Gendo Ikari. Goddamn.
A fun one I have is after you guys met the Duragar, I came up with a whole backstory of like why the Duragar thing and like where the fuck they come from, and then I also have a couple of Duragar terms that I jotted down real quick. So the White Towers is the city. They call the sun the Golden Eye, and anyone from Kentrico they call Tower people. And they call the Withered Lands the Decaying Grounds, which is similar. Yeah. And they have a whole thing about the farther away you are from the Golden Eye, the more prestigious your house is, because it means you're deeper underground.
Nice.
I like these people.
I am a dwarf and I diggy hole.
Yeah,
diggy hole. Buddy, don't be reminding me of like, oh my god, it's been for a decade.
But Sam.
Hi, how you doing?
Diggy hole.
Diggy holes.
Please.
No, I will never let go of that ongoing joke in Goblin Slayer Abridged.
Okay, all right. For obscure lore that you guys will probably never interact with, I have written history versus actual history.
Oh, I do that sometimes too.
Yeah, I haven't done that, but I do it in the sense that NPCs will be like, no, this is definitely what happened, and it's definitely not what happened.
Yeah, well, because that happens in real life, right? Like, you kind of have to do that, because that's totally a thing.
Well, because, I mean, like, so talking about, like, the event that sets everything off, like, for me, it happened thousands of years ago, which impacted the entire world and is the reason why it is the way it is. So it's like, there are certain countries that are like, yeah, this is what happened during that time, and, like, they're all fucking wrong because a lot of the shit was lost to history, like lost to time, and certain people came to power and they're like, yeah, this is what happened, and that just became the official history, So like, that's how I see it. I'm like, well, no, this is what actually happened, but the players will never learn that because there's literally no way for them to do that.
Right, there isn't actually, it's like the only way you know if you meet some fucking ancient dragon from 1,000 fucking years ago or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you'd have to talk to someone that was present or has the ability to time travel or
some shit
like
cast
the specific
cast
moment.
wish specifically for that knowledge, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's out there. It exists, but like, boy, am I like, wow, this is never gonna be read.
Yep.
Like, maybe one day I'll hand it to you. Like, because I know I handed you guys like a basic outline of like all the like basic knowledge, and I'm like. I have my own version that's like,
of course,
at least 10 pages longer for each section.
Of course.
And I'm like, this is the real history. No one will ever know this.
Yeah, there's a good amount of that, and especially because when crazy like catastrophic shit happens, a lot of information.
Yeah, you lose a lot.
You know, the old burning the library situation.
Yeah.
Isaiah, you got any
It do be like
one of
that,
your players are never gonna, or is it the?
That's one of them. What's another good one? Oh shit. Here's one. So in the player's own home, like in their settlement, there is a church that the guildmaster hangs out in. Like that's his like base of operations where he gets like all his like stuff done because it's just the biggest building on the street. And there's two ways, like there's like a right and a left that lead to two different areas. If you take the left, there's like a little secretary office space, and then there's like his room, which is it's all like part of the main church like room, but it's been like sectioned off with wood. And on one side, it's where the big rose window is, and that's like where his office is. But if behind that wall, if you take the right and go around to like the bottom floor, it's like this massive garden of plants. It's not like flowers. It's like ivy and just like natural plants that appear, and they like. You can't grow crops in my setting, but for some reason, this small plot of land has like it's like a small greenhouse. And they're non-essential plants too. It's just pretty to look at. And there's like a complete reason why he is in this area specifically, and like why these plants are in this area specifically, and like they like interact with each other in some way. And like this was, now that I've said it, my player's gonna be like, so what's with the plants? Why?
Yeah, right. Now that you brought it up,
and he's just gonna be like, because you know, does he know why? That's a good question. Do I know? Yes. Will I say? No.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, it do be like that sometimes, don't it?
Yep.
Where you're like, listen, as a DM, I would give you this information. However, there is literally no reason that anybody here would know it. So, no.
Yeah, pretty much. Very fun. Very, very fun. What's another one? Oh. Yeah, no. Like I was gonna say one, but now it's actually just a massive fucking spoiler. For
Yep. That's a thing.
Yeah, it's hard, ain't it?
Yeah.
I had that thought too, where I was like, maybe not gonna mention that one.
Yeah, it's kind of rough. Because you're like, oh, it might not be relevant, but then it also might be.
But it might be.
Yeah. Oh. Here's one. Their guildmaster's name is Jaga. That's not his real name. That's one that might come up.
That before.
Yeah, it's not his real name. And I'm very it's a very funny joke to me. And I wonder how the players are gonna react.
You're over
if
here
they
like,
find
this
out.
is hilarious. Who me?
Yeah, literally that. It's like I think this is funny.
This is hilarious.
Yeah, that's about it. All right, if anyone got some last minute stuff they want to talk about,
Be gay, do crime.
I agree. Be gay, do crime.
And then you're off to the races, and you'll have your own campaign world.
I mean, the little advicey majigum that I would have said was the thing Matt said of like, you know, start with the town, go for it. So
Yeah,
no, Matt,
start small.
Matt stole my thunder, so I'll be killing him tomorrow.
Start small.
Start
steal.
small like PP.
Honestly, if you're like, you know, very afraid to begin world building, just use a pre-written setting. Just use one already that was made, like Forgotten Realms or Greyhawk or Eberron or whatever. Even if, or Cyberpunk. I don't know what the actual world of Cyberpunk is called again.
It's called. Well, the place is called
it's
Night City.
Night City, yeah, where whatever game, you know. Sorry, I'm like, it's late.
I just thought of the meme.
Which one?
Why do you?
In Night City, you could come.
In Night City, you can get cock.
Oh my god.
If you don't want a world build, just have your game in a already made fucking setting. There's literally a million of them. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, just make a few NPCs, you know, and be like, okay, these are your friendly friends, and these are your enemies, and
your friends. Fucking hell.
And you know, this is your objective. Smiley face.
Go
Players
out
will do
and
what players
kill.
do best. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
Moida.
Yeah. Advice. On a serious note. Take your time. Don't feel like you have to rush things. You know, if you need to start small and build from there, go for it. If you've had a world you've been building for God knows how long, you know, just make sure that you've got some concise notes for your players. But like, take your time. Don't feel like you need to rush things because you have a weird expectation of yourself, or people have expectations of you, or you feel like people have expectations of you. People will more often than not be accepting. On a less serious note, world building cool.
World building very cool.
It can be, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's been. Okay, I guess we're going. Bye.
Oh, what about the socials?
No.
That's right. Your socials.
Follow on the Twitter. Fucking Isaiah, do it.
Yeah, follow us on the Twitters and then the YouTubes, and all the other links will be in the doobly-doo. Okay, bye.
Damn, you just dabbed out on that one.